Hey guys, today we have to talk about the sex work industry because it's not just one disturbing story, it's not just shock value, it's about an entire generation being trained to see trauma as entertainment and dehumanization as empowerment, which it is not. So we're going to be talking about the effect that this degrading content has on women, on men, on families, on our society as a whole. But before we start, make sure you are subscribed, hit the notification bell, and let's begin. We're going to start with Lily Phillips. Here she is with her new challenge.
So when you first arrive at the venue, we start with all the boring stuff, so ID checks. Before the session starts, I like to do a little pep talk and make sure everyone understands the do's and the don'ts of the event. So you can stop and leave whenever you like. Once it's finished, I usually like to go, get cleaned up and say my final goodbyes to you gentlemen.
Listen to how clinical she sounds, right? She starts with ID checks, pep talks, and then we say our final goodbyes to the gentlemen.
Now, once kickoff starts, honestly, it is all a go.
And of course, it's not just about these women hosting these kinds of events, it's also about the men that are lining up. And for what? 5 minutes with these prostitutes, possible diseases, medical bills. I don't think this is a very smart move. I really don't. And a lot of them are masked, so there is some shame involved, but not all of them, right? Some of them are proudly showing their face. And this is no coincidence that it's happening during a time when we have this loneliness epidemic. A lot of people are very lonely. They're looking for validation, right? For intimacy. However, this is not the solution. You don't have to trade your dignity for attention, for connection. And I think that is because a lot of people have become desensitized to this sort of content, right? It's seen as normal in our society when it is anything but.
I probably watched pornography first when I was maybe 11. And so I've always known about it. I've always knew it was a thing. And I always thought it was very normal to watch. It actually made me really confident and learn a lot of things. I mean, that's mostly how I learned through pornography.
Is there a direct link between you watching pornography as you grew up and the decisions you've made to do what you do now?
I think maybe. I mean, I don't know a life without pornography, so maybe.
Here's the other girl that was with her for this challenge.
Hey guys, come with me today to have reconstructive surgery on my back door. This was one of the most painful recoveries I've ever been through. Would I do this again?
Maybe it's
Probably, but that's because I'm a professional.
So she needed surgical repair, and she's treating it like another Tuesday. Here's my quirky self-care vlog. No pause, no reflection. It's beyond mental trauma. Now there's also physical trauma, but it's okay because it's the hustle. There's a time for you to you. This is not the time. You would used to associate it with boundaries, integrity, self-respect, right? Like you're a professional. This is anything but professional. Professional what? Prostitute? I don't know how you could possibly watch this and support it. I really don't.
And bring awareness to this.
Awareness to what? That you're in pain? That this was not a good idea? Well, if that was the message, then you would have said that. But instead you say you're a professional and you would do it again. This was not about raising awareness. It's an excuse for more content. This is not feminism, okay? This is what happens when a culture loses its moral compass and calls the fallout progress.
Imagine finding out that your father was in the queue with 50 other people for Lily Phillips. I'm gonna be honest, at first I thought this was some kind of April Fool's prank, and I found it really funny, like, yeah, right, my father, who disowned me for being in this industry, is gonna go queue up with 50 other guys just to use Lily Phillips' back lane. Don't think that these girls understand what they're doing. I'm in the industry. I don't break up families. I don't sleep with people's dads. Yeah, I have, like, once, but, like...
You of all people cannot speak on how someone else turned out because she is also an OF creator. Girl, come on, your dad broke your family. Lily Phillips has no obligation towards you, but your dad has.
With 50 other people.
Babe, I'm not the one that's married, so how can I wreck a marriage? Your parents have issues. It makes total sense as to how you turned out like this.
See, I think that she's in on it. That's my guess. I think they both talked about this before posting. If I'm wrong, then there's a complete lack of self-awareness from everyone involved. A grown man that stood in line, I guess it was for one of these events, right? I mean, at that point, you're not just a terrible husband, you're a disgrace to your children. But we have two prostitutes saying, wow, I can't believe you turned out like this. It makes sense. Girl, you guys are in the same boat. But with Lily Phillips, it doesn't matter if she isn't married. Like, you see what you're doing. She doesn't care. She doesn't care who she sleeps with. That's what happens when the loneliness, when the validation hunger is left unchecked. Those creators are not even pretending to care about the consequences because that's part of their image, right?
You can tell someone's level of self-hatred by how they view sex, and most of you guys aren't ready for that conversation. Lily Phillips, the only model who slept with 100 men in one day, was doing an interview where she had said originally she was going to save herself for marriage, but then she realized that sex wasn't wasn't special. I've heard this line from other people basically in defense for hypersexuality and promiscuity. But if you are ready for the conversation, you would realize that it's not that sex is not special. It is that you are having sex with people who do not view you as being special, and you are believing them. If you listen to any interview with Lily Phillips, you can feel her self-hatred bleed out through her words.
See, this is the part no one wants to say out loud, especially women, because we're sold this lie, right? That girls supporting girls means never holding anyone accountable. That if a woman is harming herself publicly, we're not allowed to say anything because that wouldn't be being a girl's girl. Silence disguised as support. That is not sisterhood. That is what the culture is doing to women. It's teaching them to view detachment as power. Oh, I don't care, it's no biggie. Let me sleep with 50 men, 100 men, 2,000 men. I'm just like the boys. No, girl. It's teaching you that the more numb you are, the more empowered you must be. Not the case. But what you're saying is true, right? The way that you treat your body, especially when it comes to intimacy, that is extremely important. So when you're handing yourself off to 150 strangers or whatever the number is, right, for her next challenge, that is not empowerment. Something clearly shifted in Lily Phillips' beliefs. But instead of healing whatever broke her previous mindset, she is rebranding herself, right? And her whole thing is, well, it doesn't matter.
What does your dad say about it?
Honestly, he loves it.
No, that's completely normal.
Like, obviously, he doesn't sit watching the videos, but like all my social media, my TikToks, he'll have a look at. And he's just proud seeing how happy I am, how much I've been able to support the family. And it's like, it's really changed my life and my family's life. I've got these stamps and it says like, I slept with Bonnie Blue. I want to sleep with Bonnie Blue and stuff. And like,
I
was
love
practicing.
Who's interviewing her? Oh, I love that. Did you hear what Bonnie Blue just said?
I was practicing them on my dad, and my dad was like, I need to go to the pub after this. And he's got like stamps all up his arms to say he slept with his daughter.
Dad's a sick one. You know, fathers are supposed to protect their children, not advertise their bodies to strangers.
You will tell me to find God. So this Sunday is Lord's Day, and I'm going to be on my knees praying for barely legal and your husbands.
I don't think you have to be religious to see how sad this really is.
Lily Phillips can be saved. Bonnie Blue cannot. Lily Phillips looks like a woman who's trying to escape her pain by distracting herself with as much nonsense as possible. She looks like a girl who didn't get much love and attention, the right kind of attention growing up. So she's acting up to do anything she can to get attention, right? And Bonnie Blue was the one that enabled her to do it, who egged her on and told her to do it. Of course, all the thirsty men who was involved also egged her on. But I feel like, you know, Bonnie Blue egged her on.
I do agree that Lily looks more lost. Like, she really wants that validation, approval, money, of course. But Bonnie Blue, she's like pushing more women into doing this. I'm going down, so you're going down with me. Turning innocent girls into mini Bonnie Blues. Mission accomplished. Hashtag Bop House.
I'm about to take my first group of my spring break tour, and I am so excited.
Of course, there are a lot of people who are calling her out and saying this is very, very creepy, Bonnie. But if this was a guy who almost every video was about wanting barely legal teen girls, or I'm going to spring break, I'm gonna find a barely legal teen, I think there would be twice as many people talking about it.
I've just arrived in Mexico, and I want to find the freshest I can find. Ideally, just 30 seconds past midnight.
This is where it shifts from just sad to sinister. It sounds extremely predatory to constantly be talking about the barely legal thing. Again, we call out men for this. Why is it okay when she says it? Bonking hundreds of 18-year-olds made me a millionaire. I love the comments though. Why are you enabling promoting this behavior? It's a family business. My dad even hands out my flyers. So in her case, this is not fatherless behavior, but the father seems sick in the head. Absolutely sick in the head. Might have been better if he was out of the picture, honestly. I'm sorry to tell you, but sex work is not empowering or a true definition of feminism. Who said that? And it's horrible how many people on this app try to tell young girls that it's not a big deal to sell your body as soon as you turn 18. It's become a trend to start an OF on your 18th birthday. How do y'all not see the issue with this?
I'm on a hunt for barely legal girls, especially those that have just had their 18th birthday.
So obviously most people are normal and they realize that this is extremely creepy. But masked immigrant dude disagrees. He says, I oddly feel like she is doing a lot for feminism and getting rid of shame and taboos for girls. Someone said no, she sets feminism back. She is doing what she wants to do, not what you are trying to force her to do. She's a multi-millionaire. Keep shunning her while she rolls in money. Is this Bonnie Blue on her secret account? It's probably just some porn addict who subscribed to Bonnie.
Especially those that have just had their 18th birthday.
The Barely Legal Boys saga is clearly drying up, and she's already cashed in on her £300,000 Ferrari. So now we're going for the girls.
She's gonna do non-binary next, watch. The Barely Legal Z-Zims.
But here's my thing, is it really rage bait if she's carrying out these acts? Because for real, think about it, like some of these boys probably only just turned 18 that day. And as we speak, she's on her spring break tour. And honestly, the footage is so disturbing. And this is why, as a society, we need to be all the way up in our kids' business. Because I'm sure thousands of parents across the friggin' world did not raise their young men to partake in this madness.
The sons. Like, less people are talking about that, but they're also being used for content.
For the easy access to social media and the content available to them, encourage them to partake in it. Pray for our young people, because I don't know what the coming next.
Moving speech at the Oscars.
I want to again recognize and honor the sex worker community. I will continue to support and be an ally. All of the incredible people, the women that I've had the privilege of meeting from that community has been one of the highlights of this entire incredible experience.
At such an event, we have women standing up and thanking prostitutes instead of doctors, nurses, literally anyone actually benefiting society. And this is the director?
I've been pretty outspoken about my stance on sex work. It's our oldest profession, yet it has an incredible unfair stigma applied to it. And what I've been trying to do with my films is sort of chip away at that very unfair stigma. Personally, I think it should be decriminalized.
I'm sure you do.
I want to thank the sex worker community. My deepest respect. Thank you. I share this with you.
Why is it not okay to tell young women and girls that going into the sex work industry is a last resort? I'm a sex worker myself. It was my last resort. Stop grooming young girls into the industry with the promise of male validation and tons of money, because that is not what they're going to get. They're going to get a lifelong mental health condition and probably. So please stop.
See, that's a real voice, not a director, not an actress reading a script, and she is telling us that the reality is the exact opposite of what Hollywood is trying to sell us, how beautiful it is. We should be honoring them. Being an ally does not mean clapping like seals while people suffer. These women don't need applause, they need a way out.
It makes me realize that people just miss the point of being vocal about the industry. People seem to genuinely believe that when I'm vocal about the industry, they think I'm doing it to, I guess, shame women. She's got her cleavage out, yet she criticizes. What a hypocrite. Which is crazy, because it's basically implying that when I show skin, you equate that to selling sex and having this transactional relationship with women over a screen.
No, it's absolutely insane. You don't have to wear a niqab to criticize the sex work industry.
I don't believe that the industry benefits women at all. The argument will be, oh, but what about the top creators? The reality is that only women make $100, $150 a month. That is not empowering.
Yes, and regardless of how much they make, it is not empowering.
Industry and platforms in general, most of them run by men for men.
I knew that modern day feminism was a complete joke once people were able to be convinced that saying that you are against the industry is not being supportive of women. I knew that we were completely when that became something that people said, when that became something that people came up with a term for.
Oh, is this like the TERF thing? They came up with a new one? Okay. The new word is swerf.
An industry that results in so much exploitation, so much abuse, so much addiction, so many harmful things to women. I knew that modern day feminism was an absolute joke once people started to claim that this is something that is somehow empowering.
Here's the positive side of all this, that there are women, some conservative, some liberal, some religious, some not, men as well, who are speaking up about this, because you don't have to fit a certain mold to recognize exploitation. It's about basic human dignity, and if that's controversial, even more of a reason to speak up, because silence is what causes this degeneracy to keep on spreading. I would love to hear your thoughts about this, so make sure you comment below. Also remember to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell, share the video, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye.